It's a supernatural vlogcast. Hey everybody, Stephen Joy here again. Uh, this time I want to do a vlogcast about a way to improve your game quickly and easily at a fundamental basic level, at a starting level. But first, I want to say I'm thinking about starting another podcast because this was to replace my old podcast. Because basically I looked at the numbers on Podbean there, and I had basically about as many views as I have or listens as I have people watching my YouTube channel. So it really didn't make sense. I might as well just come to YouTube and do this instead, right? Uh, it'll do a better or I mean I can reach more people that way, right? It's kind of more fun anyway to jump in front of a camera. But I was talking to my daughter on the phone, and she came up, well, I was kind of goofing around, and she said, Dad, that would make an awesome podcast. And I think she's right. So it's not going to be RPG or game related, but I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So I'm going to start that, but it will be I won't be able to start it for a few weeks. Yeah, I don't want to say what it is because it's a really good idea. So I'm gonna get a new mic and stuff so that I can sound better and whatever, and then I'll start working on that podcast. And when I do, I'll let you all know about it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm actually really looking forward to trying it out. But this what I'm talking about here is a thing about improving your game, and it's not by anything that's really obvious, but it's like super important to your game. And I think some people know how to do this just sort of instinctively or have it as a good idea, and other people may not be aware of it at all, or it may not even cross their consciousness to do this, because some people just sort of leave this stuff to chance. But the best way to make sure your game is going to be really fun for everybody uh, is to have the right players. Now, that seems kind of obvious, right? Of course you got to have the right players. You have to have people that are experienced. You have to have people that are blah, 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 show up, bring some dice, maybe have their minis, that kind of stuff. Yeah, you need all that, and that's absolutely true. But the other thing that as a GM or a DM or whatever the hell you want to call yourself, referee of the game, you should be aware of people's moods. Now, people will have a tendency to be in good moods and a tendency to be in good moods, or bad moods, good moods, that kind of thing. There's a general tendency that people have towards one or the other, and a game can certainly pick up your mood. But one of the things about moods and people's emotions is that negative moods and negative emotions are a lot more contagious than good moods. So if you have 5 people in a good mood and 1 person in a bad mood, that 1 person could potentially bring down your whole game. Now, that isn't to say that you shouldn't give people the chance to actually play in the game if they're in a bad mood, if they're having a hard time, because I mean maybe they really need the game. Maybe maybe the game is what brings them out of it. But you need to be, as a GM, you should be on the lookout for players that don't know how to elevate their own moods. And there's a lot of people out there that don't know how to do it. They don't recognize when they're in a bad mood. They don't recognize that there's anything they can do about it, and they don't recognize that they can elevate themselves out of the mood. And so people, so some people, particularly people that have low self-esteem, have a lot of trouble pulling themselves out of a poor mood. And so as a GM, right, you could very carefully help people to try and bring them out of the bad mood. And there's several ways you can do this. I mean, you could have a heart to heart with them if you are their friend. You could just say, hey, I'm concerned, you seem to be in a down mood, I'd like to get you in a happier mood before we start playing. Right, that's reasonable. let's hang out and talk, and maybe we'll watch some comedies, and we'll just try and get ourselves in a good mood before we start playing. Uh, and it's a funny thing, but lots of people uh, won't try and get themselves into a good space when they're in a bad mood. And maybe something's upsetting them. Maybe they've got relationship problems, or maybe there's something at work that's bugging them, or who knows, right? Uh, but at any rate, as a GM, you want them to be climbing in, getting into a good mood before your game starts, because their bad mood or bad attitude, and attitude plays in this too, could actually infect everybody, and it can spread through the entire game group. And you really want to avoid that. I don't know how many countless times I've seen that destroy what would otherwise be a really awesome game. Uh, because, like I said in the beginning, bad moods are more contagious than good moods. So, when you're putting a game together, obviously you want to try and find people that are in a good mood. And when you're going to talk about the game, when people playing, you can say to people, hey, I would really like it if you would come to the game in a good mood. And lots of people just say, yeah, sure, okay, yeah, that's reasonable, that makes sense. And they'll actually try and get themselves into a good mood. But you're going to have some players, who aren't going to be able to do that. They'll just say, oh, well, then I can't come to that game, or I'll let you know and I won't come to the game. And you should let them know, no, that's not what I'm talking about. I think the game will put you in even a better mood. I just don't want to bring negative stuff to the table. I want it to be, a really fun, enjoyable thing. So, how about you show up earlier, and we'll hang out, we'll play some video games. We'll maybe do some stuff that'll put us in a good mood, right? Because you don't want your friend not to be able to play, but you also want your game to be really good at the same time, right? So that's one way of doing it. Now, if you have too many people in a bad mood around you, it might be might be a good idea just to put the game off until everybody's in a good mood. But that's really a judgment call. Because I have also been in situations where people showed up and they're kind of not in a good mood, and the game really puts them all in a good mood. I mean, that's one of the things that I love about role-playing games, is that you just totally forget the whole world around you. Absolutely everything that is bugging you and driving you crazy just falls away, right? And, I mean, it's just great. And if you are under stress, if you are upset or whatever, I know very little that can make you feel as good as playing a role-playing game with friends. There's illegal things, but RPG games are legal, and they're just awesome. They work so well. So you don't want anybody to not be able to take part in that. So I think it's a reading of your friends. As they show up for the game. Is there anybody shuffling in looking kind of downcast, or they're upset about something? Do they need to vent? That's the thing, is letting people vent, when people are venting for your game, don't argue with them. Don't, discourage them from doing it. Let them do it. That will actually help elevate their mood. And if you can go, yeah, that really sucks. Even if you don't really agree with whatever they're saying, it doesn't really matter. Because it's your friend, you want them to feel good, and if you agree with them, or at least if you don't contradict or argue with them, if you listen to them and you understand what they're saying, their mood will be elevated by it, and that will elevate your game. It'll make your game a lot better. And the other thing too is that for a GM, if you are going to show up at the table and you yourself are in a bad mood, you can't pretend your way out of that. It takes a lot of energy. I'm talking like electricity shooting around in your brain, right? I mean, I'm told if you screwed in a 100-watt light bulb to the side of your head, bing, it would actually light up. So we use about 100 watts, our brains. That's what I'm told. I don't know. It might be, I don't know. I don't know what my source is on that. But anyway, but you use even more energy if you try and pretend to be in a good mood. It's called emotional dissonance. Basically, you're pretending to be something that you're really not. And you're burning up more energy, but also it actually starts to create negative feelings. So if something's bugging you, something's upsetting you, and you start DMing, and from what I've seen, this is a real problem with DMs and GMs sometimes, right? So the thing to do, because you don't want your bad mood to start being contagious, and because you're using up this extra energy, you can't be focused on your game. So you're going to be missing rules, you're going to be making poor rulings, you're going to be forgetting things because you're trying to act like you're in a good mood, but, really you're not. But, I mean, you can put yourself in a good mood before the game begins. I don't know, you need to pay attention to what puts yourself in a good mood. You might like watching comedies. Maybe you need to play some video games. Maybe 5-10 minutes of meditation. I am going to have to do a vlog on meditation as it pertains to games, because meditation is just dynamite. I cannot recommend that highly enough to people to try out. Like, to meditate 5 minutes, say an hour before the game or whatever. Oh, really good thing to do. So the GM or DM or man, I gotta settle on something, right? This is ridiculous. GM. But anyway, whoever's running the game, they need to be in a good mood themselves. And so this can be tricky, learning how to regulate your own emotions, but I highly recommend it. And and just figuring out what puts you in a good mood. Now you can say, well, playing games puts me in a good mood, and yeah, it can be. But sometimes there's those games that just go completely sideways, and that's my furnace. That's something I have to do. I don't know. Maybe you can't hear it, but anyway, I live in Canada, so it's cold, so my furnace comes on all the time. What do you do, right? So learning how to regulate your own emotions that way is that was me, not you. I thought I turned that off. It's still happening. It's happened. I try. I don't want any noises. Computer says no. Computer says no. Yeah. Anyway, so I just thought this is part of that book that I'm reading. This is some stuff, and now I knew about this before. I started reading this book, but I didn't really know the real actual nut and bolt mechanics of it, right? So, and now this is kind of like, and I've gone back and I've looked at the stuff that I've played. My eyebrows. Serious? I just looked out to see. I could see what I look like, and I'm like, no, this isn't complicated or tough. It's just meant to be. It's just meant to be a quick, simple, look at moods and how they can work. Yeah. So, let me see here. Did I get everything I was thinking about on this? Yeah, I think I did. I think I nailed it in one go. I don't think there's much else to it. I mean, that's it, right? So, what else could it be? Oh, if you made it this far into the video and you didn't just look at it and go, oh my God, the guy's talking like, whatever. Got a newsletter. You can check out, like, if I don't know how you get, but M. Stephen Joy. Yeah, that's. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna make another video about that. I don't wanna confuse this, right? I don't want to confuse this. So I'm gonna leave this here. I'll just make another video because why the hell not? Got to break up the topics, right? Because see, now that's the easy part. This isn't a podcast where I have to put everything all together in a great big long, which I know is nice, but this is kind of segmented. I like that, right? I like that. So okay. So until next time, which will be in a few minutes, because I'm gonna talk about what I just said I was going to talk about, but I completely forgot because, derp. All right. See you guys. Okay. Bye.